Good morning, squad. Welcome back to MadMizzy Sports Morning Show, the #1 spot for everything sports talk, sports news, sports debate in the morning. Happy Terrible Tuesday. Hope y'all had a wonderful Monday. We got a great rundown today. We're going to start it off recapping Monday Night Football. Of course, I was hitting it right on the nose with a dominant win for my San Francisco 49ers over the Arizona Cardinals in Mexico City as what they call it, Estudia Azteca. I believe I said it right. Yeah, dominant win for my San Francisco 49ers, 38-10 over the Arizona Cardinals. Then we got to move on and touch on the news of Robert Saleh, the head coach of the New York Jets, not committing to Zach Wilson. And we're going to touch on the debate of Joe Flacco versus Zach Wilson. Should they bench Zach Wilson? Then we're going to touch on, did y'all see Undisputed yesterday? Shannon Sharpe versus Skip Bayless. And is Baker Mayfield trash? Who was right in this debate? Then we're going to end it off with, of course, the huge game tonight of Ben Simmons' return to Philadelphia. What do I expect? And predictions for the winner of tonight's game of the Brooklyn Nets at the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's get right into it, gang. So we're going to start off going back to Monday night in Mexico City and my San Francisco 49ers dominating win over the Arizona Cardinals 38-10. Exactly what I expected. No Kyler Murray out there, but they did have DeAndre Hopkins out there. DeAndre Hopkins out there doing what he does as a dominant #1 receiver. That's why I was a little bit skeptical on if DeAndre and if Kyler Murray was going to be able to go, but I knew we would be able to dominate them if one or the other wasn't going to be able to go. But let's speak on Brandon Aiyuk and his just amazing play over the last 4 or 5 games. And is he the best #2 wide receiver in the game right now? I would say so. If you look at the trajectory that he's going on, he's definitely approaching that best #2 wide receiver in the game right now. When you look at the last 2 games, he's averaging 82.5 yards a game, almost 7 catches a game. And he has 3 touchdowns in those last 4 games. Then you add in last night, he only had 2 catches for 20 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. He's just been amazing in the red zone. You think about, in comparison to the other #2 wide receivers in the game, you think about probably Gabe Davis and probably Jalen Waddle. I feel as though they had more explosive quarterbacks. They also had more explosive outside #1 wide receivers. You think about Deebo Samuel, he's great. He's our best playmaker that we have on my San Francisco 49ers, a loaded team full of playmakers, but he's not really an explosive outside receiver. And then you think about Jimmy Garoppolo, he's not an explosive quarterback as far as his arm talent goes. So I think that Brandon Aiyuk is the best #2 wide receiver in the game right now. He is pushing to be our best wide receiver that we have. I believe he probably is our best outside receiver that we have. And yeah, I'm looking at the trajectory that he's going on. Last year, he started off in the doghouse, and this year he's dominating the game in the second half of the year. So I love the way that Brandon Aiyuk has been developing for my San Francisco 49ers. This is why it mind boggles me that people are so against Trey Lance and doubt Trey Lance so much, because it has to be strictly on Trey Lance, because you can't doubt the talent around him. We have one of the most talented rosters in football. You can't doubt our developmental system when you look at all of the players we done developed that either don't play for us anymore or still playing for us. So you think about Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson in Miami. You think about Mike Daniel and Robert Saleh, head coach in the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins. You think about Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, DeForest Buckner. We got Fred Warner we drafted, Talanoa Hufanga. Who else? Jimmy Ward we drafted. The list goes on and on. Elijah Mitchell, Brandon Aiyuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. The list goes on and on about the people that we drafted, developed, and they've turned into superstars. And I have no doubt in my mind that when Trey Lance returns, our offense is going to explode even more, because he's going to develop into a superstar himself. Let's move on though. On Robert Saleh, the guy I just brought up, not committing to Zach Wilson, and the debate of Flacco versus Zach Wilson. To me, Robert Saleh not committing to Zach Wilson is all about his maturity and him not taking responsibility for his bad play in the last game that he played in. I just think about the New York Jets and what they're built on. They're built on a run game, a tough-minded team, and their defense. So when you think about Zach Wilson, he's not really asked to do a lot, but he is asked to hit those plays when they're there, and he hasn't been doing that of recent or just over the season in general, over the time he's been playing in the NFL. Let's look at Zach Wilson versus Joe Flacco, and would I start Joe Flacco over Zach Wilson? Zach Wilson started 7 games, 4 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 5-2 record, 45.1 QBR. 5 interceptions, 4 touchdowns in 7 games starting. I had to double check that. Like, is this the right stats? Like, that's absolutely pitiful right there. Then you look at Joe Flacco, 3 games starting, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 32.5 QBR, and a 1-2 record as a starter. You think about that one game that they won was kind of fluky in Cleveland against the Browns. To me, I wouldn't start right now Flacco over Wilson unless the locker room is gone. If the locker room is gone and you can't recover it, then you probably have to sit Wilson, but I don't see how you can recover Wilson after you sit Zach Wilson. So Robert Saleh has to realize once he makes this decision that there's probably no going back to Zach Wilson. So I don't know if they're going to move on from Zach Wilson just period in general, but as he's been playing, he shows a play maybe here or there, but to me he hasn't been showing it. And I'm a Zach Wilson fan. I wanted my Niners to get up and to trade up and get Zach Wilson. I knew we weren't going to get there because we were at number 3 and that Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence were going to go 1 and 2. So yeah, man, I wouldn't make that move right now unless it was absolutely necessary, unless you're absolutely sure that you're going to move off of Zach Wilson. That's just my opinion. Let's move on though. Shannon Sharpe versus Skip Bayless. I'm watching Undisputed last night. Although I had my own sports channel and everything, of course I still tune into everybody else's opinion on the sports world and what's going on. And Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless stay going in on this Baker Mayfield debate, and they were just absolutely about to go blow to blow talking about Baker Mayfield's performance Sunday against the Baltimore Ravens. And who is right in this debate of, is Baker Mayfield trash? To me, I don't look at Baker Mayfield as being absolutely trash, almost how some people view him, but I damn sure don't look at him like Skip Bayless does. And you have to say that Baker Mayfield is trash, period. You got to say that he's trash simply because he's not resulting in wins, and teams that he's leaving or teams that play without him look better without him. You look at the Carolina Panthers this year, they look better with PJ Walker. We don't know what they look like with Sam Darnold. And you look at the Cleveland Browns, they look better with Jacoby Brissett right now. And of course, we expect them to look a lot better with Deshaun Watson. He hasn't done anything since he's taken the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs. He was a number 1 overall pick. Then you think about when the debate gets to the core of Sam Darnold versus Baker Mayfield. You look at Sam Darnold, I don't even know who he was playing with when he was with the New York Jets. When you think about Baker Mayfield, he still had those big names. He had Jarvis Landry, he had Odell Beckham, he had Nick Chubb, he had these dudes. You get what I'm saying? So he had people around him. He had those talented pieces around him, although they did have a lot of offensive coordinator moves, a lot of head coaching moves going on, but he still had the talent around him. So I just look at it like a push when you think about Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, because nobody will remember either of them. We'll probably remember Baker Mayfield a little bit more because he has a Heisman. He had so many commercials, but it's not because of his play on the field. So to me, I look at that as being a push debate-wise, but as far as is Baker Mayfield trash, I got to lean towards Shannon Sharpe, although I probably don't think he's as bad as Shannon Sharpe does. Although I don't think Shannon Sharpe think he's that bad. I think he just goes in because Skip has to defend this dude at every given turn. So to me, he played a bad game Sunday. He was okay, but you put up 3 points, there's no excuse for that. And 2 turnovers, 2 interceptions. So yeah, there's no excuse for that, and I'm leaning towards Shannon Sharpe in that debate of, is Baker Mayfield trash? Let's move on to the huge game tonight of the Brooklyn Nets at the Philadelphia 76ers. Ben Simmons returning to Philadelphia, playing in his first game back. What's my expectations? What's my predictions? You look at both teams, the Philadelphia 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets are both 3-2 in the last 5 games. Ben Simmons has been playing out of his mind. Well, not out of his mind, but he's getting a little bit back to the Philadelphia Ben Simmons. I was getting a little bit out of my mind by saying what I just said. You feel what I'm saying? You got Kyrie Irving returning Sunday, and then you got Kevin Durant being Kevin Durant. But Philadelphia, Embiid out, no Tyrese Maxey, just short-handed. So I'm expecting a huge game from the Brooklyn Nets. I expect a blowout tonight. I expect it to be, I don't know, 123 to 100, something like that, a blowout tonight. I expect Ben Simmons to continue on his positive trajectory of how he's been playing lately, and the Brooklyn Nets to come out with a win. I don't know what to say about the Sixers. They need Embiid back. He's out with a foot injury. Maxey's out for a few weeks with a foot injury. So It's a lot going on in Philadelphia right now. We haven't been getting what we've been expecting from James Harden as of lately. So this season has been a little bit rocky for the Sixers to start off, and I don't see them turning the curve tonight against the Brooklyn Nets, who want to get to 500 and get to 9-9 tonight. So I see them getting to 9-9 and keeping their positive win streak going with the Brooklyn Nets. Jacques Vaughn doing his thing. Yeah, I got the Brooklyn Nets, if y'all haven't noticed by now. Let me know what y'all think, though. This is episode 58, MadMizzy Sports Morning Show. Like, comment, share, subscribe, listen, alert. Monday Night Football recap is Brandon Aiyuk, the best number 2 wide receiver in the game. Joe Flacco versus Zach Wilson. Would you bench Zach Wilson right now with Robert Saleh not committing to Zach Wilson? And then Shannon Sharpe versus Skip Bayless. Is Baker Mayfield trash? Whose side are you taking in this debate? And then Ben Simmons returned to Philadelphia. And what are you expecting with no Joel Embiid, no Tyrese Maxey, and the 76ers just being all out short-handed? MizzyWorld Entertainment. Gang.